A former funeral home owner in southern Colorado who hid nearly 200 decomposing bodies was sentenced to 30 years in prison today.
Carrie Halford was one of the key cases that exposed major gaps in oversight and led to sweeping changes in how the state regulates funeral homes. 9 News reporter Ria Jha joins us now. Ria, you're going to walk us through how much has really changed here.
Yeah, and from that discovery in 2023 to today, Colorado has transformed its oversight of the funeral home industry largely just by putting in place the basic rules most industries already follow.
We know that the impact of this case extends far beyond the facility in Penrose.
When investigators found more than 189 decomposing bodies inside the Penrose funeral home, it exposed something bigger than one case.
Today's sentencing of Carrie Halford finally brings closure to a case that began more than 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago, Colorado was one of the least regulated funeral home states in the country.
Made our state kind of a dumping ground for people who had gotten in trouble in other states, knew that they could come to Colorado, open up a business.
First order of business, getting our funeral directors licensed.
Senate Bill 173 is the licensing structure that we put in place here in Colorado to finally make sure that everybody who works in the industry are having a relative baseline of knowledge, have regular oversight, and are getting the right continuing education.
Neither of the Halfords were licensed funeral directors, and their Return to Nature funeral home was never inspected because it was never required.
We inspect restaurants, we inspect barbershops, we inspect a lot of other businesses, but we were not inspecting funeral homes. House Bill 1335 has proven already to be so important because this is the bill that allows for inspections of these facilities by the state government.
Last summer, one of the first inspections under that law proved exactly why it mattered.
When they went to that facility in Pueblo, many bodies were found behind a door in a different room. We're seeing the effects of these laws very quickly and unfortunately broadly, but with the intention of making sure they don't continue to happen.
A path forward made possible by those who didn't have the protection.
We beat an entire system that was supposed to protect us and has failed us every step of the way.
That licensing requirement officially takes effect in 2027, and lawmakers are introducing even more bills this session, including expanding public access to inspection records and requiring coroners to disclose financial ties to funeral homes. Ria Jha, 9 News.
After days of high fire danger, finally we get a change in the weather pattern that could help. Rain and storm chances are ramping up starting this weekend. 9 News meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen is the bearer of good news tonight.
Yeah, finally on Friday I get to bring some good news to you, Kyle. So we have basically a rain chance at least once every day for the next 7 days, and it'll start tomorrow afternoon. If you were just outside a few moments ago, you may have felt a cool breeze come whipping through. That was the cold front that is going to signal the change here in our weather. Temperatures already dropping down at Denver International Airport, down to 53 degrees. We're still in the 60s here in downtown, but those temperatures are going to start to drop now that the cold front has just moved through Denver. Temperatures are expected to be pretty close to freezing tomorrow morning, 33 here in Denver. We may have some low clouds, might be a dreary morning for some of us, especially out here on the Northeast Plains. Those temperatures in the afternoon are likely not even going to make it to 60 degrees. So our high temperatures in the 50s for tomorrow. Just an isolated chance for a shower tomorrow as the air might be a little too dry, but Sunday looks pretty good for some thunderstorms. Same thing with Monday. I'll detail your chances and the timeline coming up in just a few minutes.
Teachers in Sheridan schools could return to their classrooms as soon as Monday following a 3-week strike, though that's not a done deal yet. Today, the Sheridan Educators Association said their members unanimously voted to ratify a tentative agreement with the district that was announced late last night. They'd been working without a contract since last August. The agreement reinstates the union's contract through the end of the year, and it includes a path for other staff members to join the union.
Wanted the classified, which are janitors, cooks, the gardeners, the landscaping, maintenance, all of those, bus drivers are all included in that to be a part of their union.
The union now says its members will return to class after the school board votes to approve the agreement. Next school board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday.
We're encouraging the school board to make their decision today, tomorrow, this weekend if possible, so that we can be there Monday.
So we asked the district if there are any plans for the school board to meet early and vote before Tuesday, and nothing back from them.
Denver Public Schools has a new policy meant to protect students, families, and employees from immigration enforcement on campus. The school board unanimously voted yesterday to add language to their student conduct, discipline, and attendance policy. It would prevent any federal immigration agency from access to their property, their records, or recordings without a warrant signed by a federal judge and approved by a DPS attorney. This also prohibits the district from collecting, maintaining, or disclosing information about the immigration status of students or families unless they are required by a court order or law.
We've seen a lot of fear in our immigrant population, and we've seen a significant decrease in attendance rates. So the hope is that our immigrant population will return back to school, feel and know that they are safe within our school buildings.
So this policy also requires employees to undergo new training on this policy and have it prominently posted on campus.
Developers filed plans with the city of Denver to demolish the Asia Center strip mall on South Federal. The developer wants to replace it with a 4-story building with apartments and retail space. The proposal's drawn some concern from business owners and customers who say that cultural area is irreplaceable in the community, not just as a commercial property, but as a cultural home base for the Vietnamese community. It's in Denver's Little Saigon area, described as kind of a one-stop gathering place for immigrant communities.
Colorado will lose like a huge part of like the Vietnamese identity essentially, because like there's no set location that is like essentially like a Chinatown or whatever it is. So like I feel like Federal is kind of like that space.
The developers say the project is still in an early exploratory phase. They say there are no finalized plans. There's no timeline for construction.
A combined hotel nightclub that the city of Denver ordered closed earlier this month can now operate in some capacity again. Denver's Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection ordered the Native Hotel and Gatsby Social on Wazee Street to shut down on April 10th. They say it was based on over 800 violations of the fire code. Denver Fire lifted the stop work order a few days later after the business made some changes. Native's hotel and food license are no longer suspended, and the liquor license suspension will be lifted this weekend. Then there's the cabaret license, which all nightclubs have to get in Denver. That's still suspended while the disciplinary process plays out or until they agree to a settlement. So that means no dancing and no live music allowed for now. There's a hearing scheduled for May 15th.
Today, the FDA moved to fast-track its review of 2 medicines. The agency issued national priority vouchers to 3 companies studying psilocybin and methadone. The drugs have been granted breakthrough therapy status, a designation for therapies that show substantial promise over existing options. Psilocybin for treatment-resistant depression and major depressive disorder, and methadone for post-traumatic stress disorder. And medical marijuana is now considered to be a less dangerous drug. The Trump administration reclassified it this week, changing the way that it's regulated.
This move could create more opportunities for researchers here in Colorado. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us now from MSU Denver after learning more about that. Colton?
Yeah, Jenny, Kyle, as we all know, Colorado has had medical marijuana since 2001, but researchers here at MSU felt like the federal government didn't do a good job of keeping up. But now, that could change.
The research that we see happening at Colorado universities has really been focused on the medical side of cannabis.
The latest move from the Trump administration has marijuana researchers in Colorado no longer tapping their toes.
We've been waiting for the federal government to catch up.
Shannon Donnelly, a cannabis professor at MSU Denver, says moving medical marijuana to a Schedule III means scientists can finally study what some Americans already believe.
So a consumer may say, hey, I know cannabis helps for my headaches or helps me with my insomnia. Now the federal government says, let's research it.
Donnelly says that research could be a game changer for senior citizens.
What we're going to see now with this rescheduling is probably a focus on how medical marijuana can help this population. Also a focus on maybe how medical marijuana can help people who are dealing with cancer.
And it's not just who gets researched, it's how. Under the new rules, Colorado's own medical marijuana cultivators could supply a research-grade cannabis to scientists opening the door to more specific questions.
It could actually be looking into what terpenes are better for people who deal with anxiety, what cannabinoid is going to be the best for someone who deals with insomnia where they can't stay asleep.
And for the first time, those researchers may finally have everything they need to get to work.
So those questions have been asked, and now I think we're even closer to be able to do that research.
As a reminder, recreational marijuana was not included in this rescheduling. As for people here at MSU, they're already wondering what the next step will be. Live in Denver, Colton Chavez, 9 News.